Hey there, my friend. Welcome to another episode of the Contractor Click podcast. This is your host, Danny Barrera, here with our amazing Contractor Click team. Maddie, good morning. Emily, good morning. Great to have you guys. What's going on? What's new in your world, guys?
It's great to be here. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, we're back with another episode. Today, we're tapping into the final stretch, Q4. What's exciting about Q4, Emily?
Man, there's so many in our agency. There's so many exciting things about Q4.
Oh, yeah.
It's grind time.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
Grind time. Look, this is it. We're in the game, and this is the final stretch for 2024. And more specifically, today's conversation is going to be about election-proofing your concrete coating and home improvement business. So if you're a contractor, this conversation applies to you. Election-proofing your home improvement business. Where do we begin in that conversation, guys?
I think we should start right off. Let's talk about last elections versus this elections, and let's talk about how much money people had then versus now, disposable income.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Emily, when you think about this specific election cycle, 2024 versus 4 years ago? What was different in the consumers versus this specific cycle?
Right. Well, to your point, Maddie, I think there has been a lot of change. And I love what you said just about what they had versus what they don't have now, right? Because if the last election cycle, people were coming out of a situation with COVID where there were stimulus checks and things were on hold, right? Like even the student loan payments, they had put a freeze on those and a pause on those. And so disposable income was actually, there was a lot more of it for a lot of individuals. It was a thing. And you remember people would get their stimulus checks and then they'd be like, what am I going to do with this?
Right. There you go.
So it's very interesting to that point. Now, I know obviously the COVID times were a difficult time for certain people, but like you said, there were quite a few individuals and a lot of people that made that decision to spend those stimulus checks and the disposable income elsewhere, and we're not seeing that this time around.
Well, the other thing that's prevalent is you look at inflation and the cost of living. Has it gone down or has it gone up significantly in territories and service areas? And every market is very different. And something we're looking at is, Maddie, in some territories, clients are crushing it, thriving. They're not even feeling it. In other territories, very specifically, we're seeing the cost of lead go up by 30%, 40%, no matter who's managing the ad campaign, right? We have contractors 100%. Jumping from one agency to the next like a rabbit. And we're telling them, hey, look, you got to give your partner some time in order to figure things out. But also, sometimes it's like the behavior in the territory, it's very different.
Let's look at it actual impressions. Forget about let's look at the science. The other day I have an account that has 3,000 impressions and the cost for those 3,000 impressions were $25. And then I have another account in a totally different area that spent 700, got 700 impressions, and their account was at $35 with 700 impressions. So what does that tell you? That tells you that it's different.
That's unless you bring the big guns.
It's different. Absolutely.
We have an ad at Contractor Click called The Big Guns. And what is that ad? You guys remember?
That's the ad. That's the proven ad.
That's
the one that always.
That's where I'm on the floor.
She doesn't want to give
with
away.
The 2 flakes.
Yeah.
That's me literally in front of a
secrets.
grinder. I call it The Big Guns. And then there's a call to action. It's just me, a 5'4" guy. But it performs really well. If that one doesn't perform, I know for a fact nothing else is going to perform. And we have, this is a beautiful thing about us. Hey, we have a library of proven ads, and we're constantly tweaking and testing and tweaking and testing. And that's the thing about working with a specialized agency that understands the niche and the verticals. And in home improvement, that happens in concrete coating, pavers, remodeling, etc. So a lot of cool things. But going back to your point, Maddie, when impressions and cost per impressions are sky high, what makes a difference, and what should the listener be thinking about in their advertising to help them out in this season specifically?
You just got to be different. You got to be different. You got to stand out. You got to show your face. I'm always talking about that. Show your face. Get in front of the camera.
Yeah.
You just got to be different.
Yeah. It's almost like wherever the crowd is going, and you got to look at your competitors, whatever they're doing. If you're posting the same offer, just like them, is the picture looks almost just about the same as them. And this is one reason why we don't like to advertise for the same contractors in the same territories, because, if we have a specific recipe and we grab the same ad hooks, the same copy, and a consumer just looks at it, and I see, we see this a lot. We're in South Florida, in Boca. Don't you see the ads where it's the same, hey, don't buy your cheap epoxy kit, and then you scroll down and like 2 guys later, it's the same. Attention, Boca Raton homeowners, don't buy the cheap epoxy kit. And it's almost just about the same picture. So what does that do to a business owner and their cost per lead?
Well, that increases the cost per lead because people don't even realize that it's a different ad. It's like, so it's like so much they see the same ad over and over again. They're like, oh, I already saw that. So they scroll past it.
Ad fatigue.
And it creates ad fatigue and it increases the cost per lead.
Yeah. So let's go back to the cycles. I think there's something important to consider here. The cycle is just a cycle. And you got to understand, like, hey, if it feels like the market is very stubborn in your service area, which, by the way, we've been talking about this and preaching about this for some time now, for over a year. And it sounds like at some point in time, like a broken record. And maybe you've been waiting and waiting. Hey, when is this going to start happening? For some of you, you might have started feeling the changes in the economy somewhere in August, some in July, some in September. But we are seeing two very specific type of leaderships here. And I want to call you into action and activate the true leader in you and call the real leader in you to be awakened in this economy. You've got no time to go back to playing scared. This is not the time to go back and look at yourself and, oh my gosh, I'm going to make a decision right now because I heard some other hypey promise that's going to get me some better results, or this is going to be the one quick thing that's going to change it all for my life and my business. Like if that's what you're doing under this specific premise, your business will only suffer in the next 45 days. In the next 45 days. So you might take your business back in revenue, in the stability of your business, if you're making decisions just out of pure emotion in this specific cycle. So do understand, the first thing, if you have something to write this down, it's like, hey, it's just a cycle, and write that down, the cycle. Your number one goal as a business owner and leader is to figure out what the cycle is in your marketplace, in your service area. When did it start? I need to have real conversations, and the conversations are not like, hey, my friend, hey, landscaper friend, how much are you paying per lead? Oh my gosh, I'm paying $15. Okay, I'm going to jump ship and go here and start, making decisions. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Is understanding your consumer's behavior in your territory. And then that's what you want to see. Hey, what's happening right now with my ticket size? How are they purchasing? Or maybe my specific demographic has changed. Maybe it needs to be tweaked. Maybe my buyer that used to be a buyer here is no longer a viable buyer because they're out of money and they're tight. Maybe they are stacking on credit card debt. And my buyer that's been my most prominent buyer is no longer buying. And when I study them and I get to understand them, hey, maybe they put their entire life, they're coming in with this COVID loans, et cetera, and like all this excess of cash that they had borrowed against their home, and now that's drying up, and maybe that's gone. So the question is like, hey, if you don't understand your cycle, then it doesn't matter what you throw on top of it, team. It's not going to fix the core of the business, which is building stability. So cycle in this economy is going to be very different for everyone. It's your job to get to understand that. Now, something cool we have coming up next month, and I'd like to bring that up, that's going to help us figure that out for every single one of our clients, is it's a specific event that we put together to address this at a deeper level. What do we have in store for November?
Yeah, so we're so excited to announce that we're going to be doing a live in-person marketing breakthrough event that's happening here in West Palm Beach, Florida, on November 18th through the 20th. And so at this event, we not only get to meet clients and individuals that are coming together to reach a common goal, which is not only to survive this season, but to thrive in this season and to come out of the other side better than before. But we're also going to get to talk about all of these different pieces, right? The leadership, the aspects of what it looks like to grow, to scale, and to even exit a business. So there's so many pieces of it that are so great, and we're excited about that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's exciting.
And Maddie, we just came back from an incredible mastermind. I mean, just about we were the smallest in the room by far. And I say that, and it's humbling to say that because I'm like, dude, I'm a fly in the wall. Everyone else is like decamillionaires. They've exited businesses. They acquire businesses. So we're small fish in this ocean, and there's big fishes out there. The beautiful thing about the conversations we're bringing to the table here to you guys is they look at this as cycles. Like there was no emotional attachment on like, and a lot of these guys have money at play currently, and they were talking about marketing cost. And the beautiful thing is I love to see how leaders at a different level behave versus leaders like, that they're just starting now, or maybe it's a first cycle in business, and how they approach, what's the difference here? One is screaming and crying about a 7% marketing cost of marketing, or a 14%, right? Oh my gosh, the sky is falling, right? And these guys are like, man, I'm in growth mode. I'm looking to invest 15 to 25% and not make a profit this year. And they're literally having these conversations like, we're not gonna, but we're gonna take a market share, like very normal. I mean,
and like
what
even the other,
100%.
Like it's we're young wolves in that wolf pack, and those are like big wise wolves,
very wise.
And we're very much learning from them. And there was nobody that was afraid. Not one person was afraid of marketing and money and as a matter of fact, like they were talking about increasing their marketing like 3, 4, 5 times during the season than before, because what happens? What happens now is that these little wolves, or these little like businesses that have all this fear, you're gonna get knocked out of business, and these big businesses that have no fear are gonna take your business.
Yeah.
So where do you want to be? In the side where you're gonna oh well, I'm scared, or in the side of like I'm gonna pick off and like I'm going to succeed and become a successful and profitable business. And it's like we were talking about, that might mean that things have to shift a little bit in what you're doing with what you have right now. But, at the end of the day, this is not a time to be afraid and pull back at all.
Well, I think something that stood out to me is when we think about resilience, and when I think about resilience is like, hey, you're going through this time where you got to push hard and push through and break through, etc. But the way that I see individuals that have been around for decades and decades and decades, this is like maybe their 6th election that they're in business. They've gone around. They might have been through 1 or 2 recessions, and they look at business in a very different way than most people. And something that stood out to me was like, hey, it's just numbers, and within a cycle, there's going to be some numbers. And the ones that are scared are the ones that are counting on the amount of jobs they're going to sell this month to pay for the Christmas gifts.
Yep.
And they don't understand, like, hey, this is a business and an asset. And what I'm doing is I'm building value in my company. I'm not building value in just getting more machinery or investing in grinders or whatever it is, in equipment, etc. They're looking at this as in like, I just need to get through this cycle, and on the other side, when it opens up, I'm going to have a greater market share. And for a lot of these guys, what that means is like, hey, I'm buying out my competitors. Hey, I'm getting equipment on a discount. Hey, actually, one of the biggest conversation was labor. The labor force is opening up in some territories for the ones that are continuing to move forward. Which leads me to the conversation of top grading talent.
Yeah.
We were talking about performance, et cetera. Emily, why is that important in this season for our listeners?
Absolutely. I think when you're top grading talent, it also means doing internal audits.
Yes.
Like we've talked about within your business and your company, and internally auditing every single person, including yourself. What's your capacity at? Where are you at? If you have 5 sales individuals and if you were really honest with yourself, 3 of them were producing and the other 2 were not. Like, this is that season.
It's a liability.
It's hard.
Yes.
You got to make those hard decisions. But as a business owner and someone who's driving forward, like Maddie said, if you want to be a part of that top, then you have to make those decisions. Or you have to find a way to motivate to maximize your team's productivity. So sometimes it's about how are you leading to maximize productivity.
Yes.
Because if people just have empty time, right? Like, what does that look like for you to maximize that individual?
Yeah, maximizing opportunity. And you look at every department, hey, and something cool, I saw this specific company, we're looking at case studies, like how do they get people when work is quote unquote slow? What can they do? If it's before noon, right, and there is no jobs in the calendar or schedule, what else can they do? If it's before 2 p.m. or before 4 p.m., right? So they get back to the office and it's noon to 2 p.m. What can they do?
Right.
And they have a list of action items that they can take care of in order to close the gaps, which is me to this next step here. It's closing the gaps. And the gaps are going to be found in marketing, in leadership, in sales, and the business scalability. The business scalability is what does the operations look like without you in it?
Yeah.
And that's an interesting one. We're not going to dive into that here on this specific conversation, but you're more than welcome to join us in the Marketing Breakthrough event, because we're going to take a deep dive into what does business scale look like if you're looking to play at a bigger level and you're looking to play to win. And I do believe, like, the clients that are immersing themselves into the process, man, they're not afraid to move forward and they're crushing it. So knowing your numbers, profitability, understanding what does my number need to look like, and also having the attitude as a leader, if I am not diversified right now, meaning I'm getting a ton of leads for my business. And Maddie, can you bring up that example that Mike told us when he was going through the recession, and he's like, I wasn't offering these services, and then I looked to integrate other services that people were interested on. Why is that something important to consider in this economy?
It's important to diversify your service offering, just period. Like, you just have to.
Well, so Maddie, I just want to be the flake floor king.
Too bad.
And
well, then you're not going to have cash flow. He used to have a whiteboard. I don't know what he went to. He used to have a whiteboard. Mike used to have a whiteboard, and every time someone called asking for a service that he didn't offer, he would write it on the whiteboard and he'd figure out how he was going to offer that service. I have people calling me right now. The most successful people that we work with are calling me right now.
Company.
Yeah, but listen, the most successful people that I have are calling me right now and telling me, hey, Maddie, I have had, I don't know how many calls of people asking me to do this. Can we advertise for that?
Yeah. Pickleball courts.
Let's do it.
Concrete staining.
Let's do it.
Cabinetry.
Concrete repair.
All of it.
Installing organized
We've had a lot of people
storage.
Recently start to do organization and storage because they're going, okay, well, we've maybe our lead flow in a sense has gone down, but for the leads that we do get in the door,
boom,
what else can we sell them?
That's the key right there.
And that has been, we've had clients, even a client that we onboarded this week, right? Just a concrete coatings client.
Yeah.
Just a concrete coating. I say that because it really, listen to what they did. They go into this home. The home says, hey, we just wanted our 2-car garage done. Well, next thing you know, they're like, hey, but we can do your patio too. And let me take a walk around your house. Let me see where else I can do. Oh, you know what? I can actually do your mudroom as well. And do you need some cabinetry installed? We actually do garage cabinetry as well. And now a job that was going to be a $2,000 or $3,000 job,
patch,
$16,000 in one sale.
Yeah,
because he said, just get me in the door. He's like, get me in the door and let me upsell.
Well, that's the difference in mindset between thinking like an installer versus a business owner that wants to scale and grow. And if you have the right buyer, which brings us back to that point of the buyer avatar, how it's changed and evolved. When you have the right buyer that is pretty much ready to invest, that buyer's value is going to be much greater than if you're fighting for someone that's just struggling with credit card debt right now, just to make it buy and pay for the grocery bills. Right? So I see a lot of people trying to crack the code on this specific segment of the market that is no longer as viable as it was. And I'm not here to say that that's no longer going to be available forever. No, it's for the cycle. Like, that's just pretty much what it is. I was studying a little bit on history, and something interesting is like human behavior in times of economic uncertainty, and especially election times. And I'm not here to talk about recessions and what a true recession looks like, but in times of uncertainty, consumers are literally scared. Like, they're literally looking at their bank account, and it's drained. Like, how are they going to pay for the gas, for the insurance, for mortgage, for all of this? And they're literally looking at the pennies, and we're like, man, how are we going to make it for this next month? Now, it's interesting to see what's happening, and that's what I'm saying. For the next 45 days, team, I want to encourage you to be strong and courageous. Number one, action item here, write the word cycle. Hey, what does that cycle look like for us? When did it start? And what does my buyer, my prominent buyer, look like right now in this season? And then also look at your spread of either parallel services, or they might be congruent within the same family of services, or upsell opportunities for your specific buyer.
Right.
And I get it, guys. You know, you're thinking about, well, you know, I only want to do flake floors. 100%. I get you 1,000%. And the bigger boys that have a lot of backing, and all they can do is acquire flake floor jobs at the premium prices for acquisition and not be as profitable in this economy, those guys are fine. Because they have money to throw into advertising. They have $20,000-$30,000 a month to throw in your territory. So when you're looking at, well, how come they're doing it and we're not doing it, and you're coming in with a $2,500 a month budget, you can't compare both of them, can you?
No, you can't.
Can you?
No,
When
you
they're
can't.
coming in and they're saying, hey, you know, Mrs. Johnson, you can get started with a $35 a month, you know, financing opportunity.
I'm going to tell you a secret
Yeah.
for the big boys in marketing, because we do bigger companies and smaller companies. The big boys don't even care about what their cost per lead is. They don't.
They don't.
They're not hung up over their cost per lead. They're not like, oh, my friend says they have a lower cost per. They don't care. Like, they tell me, I don't care what my cost per lead is.
Yeah.
I just care about my percentages in closing is.
Exactly.
There you go.
I
They
care
want
about
quality.
what my cost per acquisition is.
And they understand the cycle.
And they
like, that's
say-
the thing. They
yeah.
prepare for the cycle.
And they're like, all I care about is I have this many leads and I need to increase my sales reps.
That's
They
it.
don't care about the cost per lead.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Like, we just had this company. We're not gonna mention their name, but it's like everything they're looking at is like, hey, we have this much value in the pipeline, but that's our sales problems, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like this is our sales problem to fix. It's not yours. Like, it's the fact that we haven't collected that much, and it's that much opportunities out there. It's for me to deal with my salespeople.
And if that's the case too, like, you know, we have clients that will come to us and they'll say, hey, I need you guys to turn off my ads because I don't have enough time to go out and do the estimates right now. And it kind of drives me crazy. And I'm sure Maddie as well, because it's like, no, like, find a different way.
Find a
different way. Then you need to stop doing the install. You need to subcontract out. Like, find a different way. But right now, if you've got, like you said, if you have leads in the pipeline or people that are still coming in, do not turn off your ads.
Yeah.
Because
Right,
if there comes a time in November and December with what the election, you know, whatever happens, where all of a sudden those leads go dry, you would have been much better being like, I'm going to subcontract out someone to help me with the install, or honestly, even pull my wife into this. Like, hey, honey, you're doing some of the sales calls. You're helping me with some. Please don't turn off your ads.
No, don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
Hey, we're begging you to, hey, no, don't stop advertising, marketing. You're a business owner. It's in your best interest now.
Right.
We're not telling you to spend everything that you absolutely have and end up without a shirt. You need to be diligent. You need to understand what your partner, marketing partner, advertising partner is doing in this season that's different. What's changing in the advertising, in the approach, in the strategy? Why is it different? Hey, why am I willing to pay more for a quality lead? Listen to this one, and maybe this is the one that's going to do it for you. As a business owner, an entrepreneur, as a leader, you should be willing to spend more for a quality lead than to spend less for
A lead period.
garbage leads, which means like, hey, I'm calling them and this is not even the right phone number. But I got a $12 lead, Maddie.
Yeah.
It's a $12 lead.
Well, I've been there. I've been there where I've had,
I'd rather
the
pay
people.
$60 to get someone on the phone
100%.
that's like actually within my range.
100%.
Right? Or
Yeah.
Or do I have to fight to try to figure out who that person was?
Well,
That's like you
I
bought a
have
$12 like coffee and then you spilled it on the ground.
Right. I have people who have wanted to try that. Well, do you want to try it? And they're like, yeah, we'll try. I want to try that 100 leads or okay, no problem. So, I mean, guys, the strategy, listen to me. It's about how you use the strategy than the actual strategy, because you can find strategy anywhere, right? So
Good.
these people want these leads. I turn them on. They're getting like $8 leads, and they're calling me within 2 weeks. They've gotten more leads than they've ever gotten in their whole life, and they're calling me. They're like, "Stop what you're doing because this sucks. We just learned a lesson. The grass is not greener on the other side. It's not.
Yeah.
They want the quality.
Yeah, you want cheap leads, team. This is the season where you should be willing to spend premium for premium results. And that's just the name of the game. Same thing with your consumer. Like, this is one thing about integrity is not just integrity on the front end. Right. Integrity is the whole spinal cord. Imagine here, Christian, that your spine is half of your spine is very solid, is put together, and the other half is like broken. It will not hold up the entire structure. So when you look at your business, you've got to be willing to look at how your consumer and how you want your consumers to buy, and do the same for yourself. Now, that doesn't mean be outrageous with your spending. That's not what it means. It means that if you want your customers to pay for quality, which is what you offer, how are you looking at your business investments when you're looking into quality? How are you investing into and making decisions? And how are you categorizing the quality inside of your business? Because we're seeing the individuals suffering. They continue to fall for the hype. They continue to fall for the promises that are outrageous. And if that's what you're up against, I would invite you to contact us here at Contractor.click, which is our website, and schedule a time to have a conversation. Maybe you've been one of those individuals that you've been actually working with a marketing partner and provider, and things have not gotten better. Maybe the promise is, hey, it's going to get better in 30 days or in 60 days, in 90 days. Well, you're already past that specific point,
right,
and you're wondering what's going to change. I need something to change. I need my lead flow to actually convert into revenue. Hey, I need to build stability and maybe understand what is it that I'm doing here. So for any one of our listeners here, I want to invite you to schedule a strategy call. Every single month, we have a specific amount of seats that we bring on for onboarding for our clients. But if you're looking to have a conversation, second opinion, advertising spend strategy, what is actually happening in your world and what would be different, what you can expect from us is no hype, no pressure. It's just going to be a conversation. Hey, let's have a business conversation. Where is it that you're looking to go? What's your current strategy and plan? How is it what you've been doing for the last 30, 60, 90, 120 days? Different than what you're currently executing and where you're looking to go, and what is it that could be the solution for you and the plan of action. Once you have that information, you get to make an informed decision. So all you have to do is go to Contractor.click and schedule a time to speak with us, and we'd be more than glad to serve you there. So anything else you'd like to share before we wrap it up here for today's call?
No, I think this was a great call. A great podcast, not a call. This is not a call, Danny. I got confused
about
too.
The Zoom call for later on.
This was great. This was great, and I hope that the people that are listening really listen to the things that we were talking about in terms of how you're looking at your marketing strategy and how to be like shift mindset and actually go towards that spot where you're gonna win. So I'm hoping that this lands, and I hope that anybody listening to this podcast adopts some of these things that we're talking about and actually moves and wins and gets to the next level. That's my wish. That's what I'm taking away from this.
That's good.
Good, Emily?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is just a great conversation. I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg. So I would say go ahead, take a look at the link down below for our Marketing Breakthrough event and retreat live here in person in West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm telling you, another big thing about these guys is that they're not afraid to invest in their education.
Oh, no.
Nope.
It's part of
They'll
it.
invest in their education all day long. So, you know, I would encourage you, whether you're a large company out there or you're maybe just brand new, if you have the margin, invest. Invest in your education. You will not regret it.
Yeah.
Yes. We're going to dive deeper in the Marketing Breakthrough event live here in West Palm Beach. Again, the dates are going to be from the 18th through the 20th.
Yes.
And a couple of things that you're going to walk away with is, number one is the state of the economy. I am going to be bringing in an economist to go and talk about what the current state of the economy is, not from our perspective, but from like key leaders that are in the weeds and looking at billions of dollars and studying billions of dollars in the economy. Nothing is leading through growth. That means, hey, your leadership when you're just sustaining versus growth is very differently. And we want to bring experts that have sold for a deca millions and have become wealthy as a byproduct. And then we're going to help you map out your 2025 marketing blueprint. That means your entire action item, from the messaging to the budget that you should be thinking about, to the initiatives. What are the key specific things every single quarter you should be thinking about way before 2025 arrives. And then the post-election survival plan. That's super important. The election is right around the corner. We want to give you what you need in order to navigate. We're going to be bringing experts on that. And then AI integration. So that's just in a nutshell, a quick summary of what you can expect.
Yeah.
Make sure that you go ahead and visit the link right in the description. Seats are limited. We have about 15 seats left.
About 15 seats.
15. So there's not a lot.
It's a very intimate setting.
Intimate setting. And if you need to have a conversation, feel free to give us a call at 305-902-4888 and get a hold of Emily. Literally ask for Emily, and then you'll have Emily right here. Give you a call back and talk about the seats. All right. Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next one.